Wednesday, May 20th. Welcome to my kitchen, guys. Hey, you may be wondering, where's the uniform, chef? What's up? Well, I'm going to tell you guys, since we are going into grilling and chilling mode here, I thought it might be a good idea to maybe relax things and loosen it up. So, not going to go with the classic uniform every day. It may make a few appearances over the course of the remainder of remote learning here. But since we're kind of relaxing things and chilling out on the grill, I said, you know, hey, I got to kind of have to myself match that and kind of maybe bring it down. So we're rocking the Spartan polo today. We still got our apron on, though. We still got our apron on. And we still got our hat, so our hair is secured here, but we just went with the American flag ball cap today. So welcome. Today, folks, is we are going to be working on the first component of our first grilled item. Okay, we are going to be doing some awesome grilled pizza, grilled flatbread, or even in the style of piadina, which is an Italian or true blue Italian style, very thin, almost wafer-like thin cracker flatbread. And we're going to be focusing on the dough today, so that's why we're inside. All right, now everything that we cook is going to be outside. We're going to cut and prepare inside. Cook outside. Cut and prepare inside. Cook outside. All right. So some things are still going to be done inside. So we're going to be a little short and brief here on this, but we're going to be talking about some fundamentals with yeast dough. Okay. And all yeast doughs are very, very similar. And obviously we're making a pizza style dough here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about the ingredients that we're using and just a few little tips that you need to know to be successful with this and to have a better understanding of how these things work. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the actual base of our dough. All right, and that's flour. Okay, today we're going with a whole wheat flour. All right, King Arthur wheat flour here, and that has a protein percentage of about 14%. All right, and that is basically kind of the higher the percentage, the more gluten in the flour. The lower the percentage, less gluten, more starch. Okay, the more gluten that's in your flour, the tougher. I don't want to say tougher, but it gives the dough a little more rigidity. It's a little more firm, or it'll add a little more crunch, or a little more body, or a little more chew, depending on how you manipulate and prepare the dough. All right, so when I eat pizza, I like to have a thin, crisp crust, but I also do like a little bit of that kind of chew in the exterior edge crust. I don't want this floppy, nasty thing. All right, I like my pizza to be able to stand firm and crunch when you bite into it. And we're going to be grilling our pizza, all right? And that's a technique a lot of chefs have used since going way back into the early 80s. And it's something that's more and more popular. So I wanted to share that with you guys and kind of help you develop your skills out on the grill now that we're into the warmer parts of the spring months here. And it's certainly that time of the year to go out there and dust those bad boys off and get them fired up. But anyways, back to our flour. We're using the whole wheat flour. We could certainly use an all-purpose flour or bread flour. That's fine. I just chose to do whole wheat to kind of bring a little more of that that dynamic into the party. It has a little more of a fuller flavor to it, and certainly higher in fiber. Okay, we have yeast. Okay, and yeast, we have two different types of yeast here, and I'm going to explain them. And these are just your yeast that you can get at the grocery store. We have here is instant yeast or rapid rise. Okay, and then we have active yeast. Now, the super simple way of understanding this, okay? This, you can put it in at any time, in any place in the recipe before you mix it, all right? That's instant yeast. Active dry yeast. We need to activate it, okay? This yeast has got to be dissolved in a warm liquid, okay? In a yeast dough of this magnitude, we're using water. If we wanted to have a richer dough with more fat, you can use milk. But it needs to be dissolved in a warm liquid. That is the difference between the two. You may have asked yourself that question while you were at the store. Either one is fine. They both work great as long as you know how to work with them. Dry yeast is, it still has life to it. This is a living organism. All of the moisture or the water was evaporated out of it, thus making the bacteria go dormant. All right. As soon as some moisture comes back into the party, it kind of awakens from its hibernation and it goes to work. All right. But it doesn't just go to work. All right. It needs something. All right. And yeast requires fuel. Okay. It needs food to grow. It needs something to eat in order for it to kind of work its magic, okay, and develop its bacteria and start creating its gases and all the wonderful things that go on in yeast. We're not going to go into this long, drawn-out theory lesson today about the fundamentals of yeast and doughs and so on, but we're giving you the abbreviated version. But yeast needs food, okay? And the food for yeast is sugars or carbohydrates. All right. The analogy that I've used in my introduction to culinary classes over the years is when it comes to yeast. All right. All right. Sugar is the gas pedal, which fuels it and makes it go. And then salt is the brake. Okay. Sugars feed yeast. All right. And greatly increase its ability to the bacteria to grow and to feed off of the other carbohydrates, the flour and the other ingredients in there and really do its thing. Salt slows it down. Okay. And in baking, should you move on to Culinary 1 and Culinary 2, we'll go into some more in-depth fundamentals about how all these ingredients work with one another. Everything is very particular. Okay, we can't just add a little more sugar if we want it to get sweeter, all right? Because then we're adding more fuel for the yeast and we may end up developing too much bacteria and we may end up too much fermentation and we're not going to have the results we want. And then also, too, we're adding more fat to the dough and then it's not going to be as crispy as we'd like. You can't just add more salt if you want it saltier because the salt strengthens the gluten or the protein in the flour, and thus making our dough almost unmanageable if we put too much salt in there. And also, too much salt can kill the yeast. So we're talking about some very important factors here. So being disciplined and really being accurate in our measuring and our scaling is super crucial to the final outcome of what we want. So if you're going to use this recipe, make sure that you follow it to the T. If you find a recipe in a book or somebody that you know or it's been passed along or you even pulled one off the internet, please don't do that. Get a book or ask me. Or take it from this because this will be on the internet, so that kind of helps. That kind of counts. Make sure you're extremely accurate in scaling and measuring your ingredients. I cannot stress to that enough to you. All right. So yeast, all right, it needs gas pedal and it does need a brake pedal, all right, in order for it to kind of develop the way we want, okay? Sugar's the gas pedal, salt's the brake, all right? Now, other ingredients that are going to be going into our doughs, obviously we have some warm water here, all right? There is a scientific formula in how we go about determining what our water temperature is going to be. We call that desired dough temperature. We're not going to get into that today. Today we're just going to use warm water, lukewarm, a little bit cooler than hand washing is going to be fine. We have our salt and our sugar. We have our instant yeast, and then we have some olive oil, okay? Adding a little bit of fat to help our dough be able to stretch out and be more pliable. All right, so we're going to go on the mobile cam here in a second. We have a KitchenAid all set up here, and we're going to talk about the steps of mixing this dough, all right, hydrating the dough. While it's mixing, we'll talk about the process of kind of how it's being kneaded and mixed in the mixer. We could certainly do this all by hand, but why not use the technology when we have it right here at our fingertips? Okay, so we're going to go down and we're going to get this going. Shoot. All right, so here I am with my friend KitchenAid, and we have the bowl right on here, and it is fitted with the hook attachment, okay? We have the bowl lowered. As you can see, it goes up and down. It's lowered, and we're going to add our water in first. Make sure it all gets in there, okay? We're not just going to leave some in there. We need to be accurate, okay? Now we're going to add our yeast in. Okay. Gonna give that a little bit of a stir. Make sure that there's no clumps. And then we're going to add our remaining ingredients. Are all going to go in. We call this a straight dough when everything goes in at once, okay? This isn't a staged dough where different things are added at different times. Everything goes in at once. And then lastly, our flour. We're going to raise this up, and we're going to just turn this on just to allow this dough to come together. Okay? This step is what we call, well, it's all to a certain degree part of the hydration process, but allowing the dough to come together or hydrate is allowing those liquids to accept all of the dry, okay? And we do this by eye. There's not a set time on how long this takes. It'll vary different from different mixer, different attachment, varying degrees of water temperature and the amount of ingredients you have. But once this dough has come together and formed a cohesive mass, we're going to have a timed mixing amount. All right, this is important in the development of the gluten. Okay, the longer you mix it, the more developed the gluten becomes. The less you mix it, the less developed the gluten becomes. We are going to mix ours for about 8 minutes. We want a good, stiff, firm dough. All right, so we're going to go back and take a look in this mixer once it's come together, all right? We'll be back. Okay, this is getting close, but it's not fully there yet. But we're going to take a rubber spatula, or even we can use a bowl scraper here, okay? It's just a little flexible plastic guy that can kind of contort and form to the contour of the bowl, okay? And we got to make sure that all of that dry is knocked down so it can properly hydrate, okay? When we were doing quick breads, guys, we always made sure this was the case so we didn't get like a pocket of baking powder or baking soda or salt. So we want to make sure everything's incorporated evenly, okay? Make sure all the way down on the bottom too. So I think this dough is actually good where we can start our time mixing. We're going to go with about 8 minutes on medium speed. Not too fast, but also not too slow. We want it to really get in there and develop those proteins in the flour, okay? So we're gonna... That's speed 4 or 5. And you can see that that dough looks a little wet right now, but it's picking up off the bottom of the bowl, and that dough hook is kind of banging it around the side, and that's gonna really help this dough develop. You look now, it almost looks a little wet. It's going to look a lot drier in about 6 minutes. So we're going to check back in and we're going to let the mixer do its job. Okay, so we're back now and our dough is fully developed and mixed. Okay, in a moment, we're going to spread it right out here on the bench and we're going to, first actually, we're going to take a measurement to see exactly how much the dough weighs. And then once we know exactly how much it weighs, I think I already know, but exactly how much it weighs, and then we're going to portion it accordingly. Generally, when you're making a pizza, it's about, how do I want to say the best way I used to say is about 1 ounce of dough per inch of width, okay? Not circumference, but the diameter, okay, across. And we're going to be looking for probably about 8 inches or 10 inches, kind of like, you know, personal size or appetizer size or sharing size or what would be like a pizzeria small, okay? We're not going to do these big giant ones because we're not suited for that here. We're you know, have a normal home-sized grill and this just isn't the place to do that. And you wouldn't want to do that at home. If you can make a lot of smaller ones, and you can have a little more creative liberties with your toppings, which you're going to see when we finish them up tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to use our bench right down here because we don't really have a ton of space here at Chef's Home Mobile Culinary Studio of Excellence. We don't have the big, nice, fancy wooden bench like we have at school, or the big stainless steel tables to work on. But we do want to have a nice, flat, smooth surface to work on because we are going to do just a little bit of hand kneading as well. So I just have some all-purpose King Arthur flour to dust our bench with. We don't want to have a ton here, just a little bit. Okay, if we need more, we'll get more. Remove our bowl. Okay, scrape all that dough off of the hook. Should come off nice and smooth. Okay, good. Our trusty bowl scraper here. Make sure we get all the dough out of there. We don't want to waste again. We paid for it. Okay. And I'll tell you, every time I go to the store, there's almost no yeast or flour. I swear, what had happened is everyone turned in Corona bakers here, never baked in their lives, used to eat gluten-free, but now the gluten's flying off the shelf. I'm suspect. All right, we have our digital scale here. Make sure that's flat and level. Okay, 33 ounces right on the nose, all right? So if we want an 8-ounce pizza, okay, or about an 8-incher, we're going to get 4 out of this, and that's exactly what I was expecting, all right? So I'm going to use this guy right here, a bench scraper, all right? We use these with quick breads, okay? And it's kind of like the baker's all-purpose knife to cut on. It's got a blunt edge, all right? It's not going to cut you or slice you open. And they're great for scraping debris off of your table, but they're actually designed for dividing dough. Okay. Cut that in about half, and about half again. Let's see how we did here. Our scale's still on over here. 8.2. Oh, that one's 7.7. That one's light. 8.5. That one's heavy. 8.5. So we're just going to take a little bit off the 8.5s. 8.5, 8.2, 8.1, 8.2. All right. They're all right in the wheelhouse of what we're looking for here. So we're going to be good to knead these and shape them. Okay. Now, this dough, as you can see, it's not really sticky, but it's going to seem a little sticky in a second. I'm just going to give it a little bit more dusting flour here, and we're going to bring these together. Now, we're going to get this round, all right? To get something round finished, we need to create something round to start the fermenting process as it grows. So I'm going to kind of pinch in my corners here until it kind of like turns into a ball here. Okay? But we're going to give it some kneads here. Okay? Push it down on itself. Let it roll up. See how I just got a little sticky there? I'll put a little flour on my hands. Okay? And I'm just going to give this one last little bit of kneading here. Okay? And then I'm going to take and now kind of pull it, create a front, and then take my bottom and squeeze it all together. And we have a nice round shaped dough. Okay, we're just going to set that aside and repeat. Now, when we were in quick breads, guys, And even though you can't see me, you can certainly hear me. We're kneading and talking at the same time. All right. We didn't want to overmix them because we wanted them soft and tender. Okay. I don't know anyone who likes pizza that has this like super crumbly, soft, tender crust. You know, we're actually looking for the exact opposite. All right. But you can go too far and you can over knead and over mix this. Okay. Now, the recipe for this is going to be included at the end of the lesson, so it's certainly something you guys are going to be able to write down, screenshot, save, and I'm certainly more than happy to share it with you. Okay, so I really do hope you guys give it a shot. I hope you're giving a lot of these things a shot. Okay, part of why I've chose some of the items that we've done in our remote lessons is with the hopes that it would inspire you to want to cook at home and to create and just give you a nice kind of a blanket idea and a fundamental that you can then transfer to a number of different things, okay? Think back to when we did our broth soup, okay? That didn't have to just be chicken and rice. It could have been beef and barley. You could have just subbed the chicken for some beef, used beef stock instead of chicken stock, and used barley instead of rice. Boom, beef barley soup. Okay. Your split pea soup, we could have easily done lentil and taken the bacon out and used vegetable stock, and then you have a lentil pureed soup that's vegetarian. Okay. Take the pork product out. All right. Even the tomato soup, you could literally make that exactly the same and then use cauliflower and puree it up, and then you have cauliflower cheddar soup or broccoli cheddar soup. It would be completely interchangeable and have good results. So now our doughs are all nicely shaped and round, okay? I pressed down on this dough, okay? You can see. See how it springs back a little bit? All right, that's that gluten. All right, doing its thing. All right, but it's also not super spring backy, which would be an indicator that it's over mixed or something is off balance with our tougheners and tenderizers here. Okay, because this feels pretty good. But this dough, again, we couldn't just roll this out and make pizza out of it. A lot of forces of nature need to do their work right now while we're off doing something else. Now, to store these, we're actually going to use some quart containers. They're round. The dough's round. All right? But we can't just drop the dough in all by itself. It's going to grow, and it's going to get all sticky and gnarly and so on. So what we do is you want to grease the inside. You can rub some olive oil in there, or you can just use some pan spray. It's fine. Okay. Be careful with this stuff. If you spray it on stuff you don't want to, it can make a real nasty, greasy mess. And don't spray it on your clothes. It'll leave grease stains. Okay, so we're in here. We're going to take this guy, and we're just going to drop it in. Now, that seal side, the undercarriage, make sure it's on the bottom, all right? Because we want this to, as this dough starts to grow, as the yeast begins to feed, okay, as that yeast is feeding, all right, it's going to create gas. And then there's going to be little pockets of air, and this it's going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow. All right. After it's grown, or it's grown as much as it's going to, all right, now those gases are going to go to work, and the flavor is going to get developed in what's going to be our final product, okay? So there's a lot of stuff going on here that's super important. You just can't mix, roll, and go and get good results, all right? So seam side down. Seam side down. You notice that we don't have a ton of flour on these, okay? That's not what we want. I got a ton of flour on myself. All right, I think some on my hat. Oops. Okay. Now, one thing I like to do, guys, and we'll do this in class when I see you again, is I draw a line, okay, right where that dough is. Okay? So when we pull this out tomorrow, we're going to see how much it's grown. Okay? And that's something that's just kind of cool to watch. Okay. Now, I'm going to take the temperature of this dough just because I'm curious. All right. And my guess is it's going to be running the exterior rate in probably the mid 70s to 80. Yep. 78.8. You know, that chef, he must know something. All right. I only know stuff because I listened when people tried to teach me. Okay. I paid attention when I was showing something. Well, not all the time. Well, certainly more than most people, but I always paid attention and listened to the people who are trying to help me, to the people who are trying to teach me. Because after all, when I was doing my training, I was only there for one thing. I was there to learn. All right. Just like you guys chose to take my class. You chose to take my class to learn. All right. And that's a two-way street. Okay. You need to allow yourself to be taught. All right. And I'm glad that I allowed myself to be taught. I was a little bullheaded with things at times, but it's very important to allow yourself to be taught. That's kind of the circular cycle of the teaching process. Okay. I need to want to teach you. You need to want to learn. All right. That's what kind of makes everything connect. All right. So we're going to get lids on these. Okay. And these are going to go to sleep in the refrigerator. Okay. If I wanted pizza tonight for dinner, I would take and put them inside my cupboard over here. All right. And sealed. And then I would pull them out in about 3 or 4 hours. Okay. And these guys would be about double in size. Okay. A lot of stuff would go on. All right. A lot of science, a lot of gas development, a lot of breaking down of carbohydrates, bacterial development, good bacterial development. But when we do it in the refrigerator overnight, it's a longer, slower development of all that. All right. If we want to use it today, put it in a cool, dry place for a few hours. If not, for tomorrow or even the next day, mix it, shape it, pop it in the fridge. All right. So that basically concludes part one. Okay. The first act of Intro to Culinary, Grilling and Chilling Style. And we're going to be back with you guys tomorrow. Okay, so we're going to call this kind of like our intermission per se. And it's going to be about the middle part of our lesson video as well. We're going to be coming back hot with the mise en place montage cam once again. And it's going to show you how we kind of got all of our toppings and our other items that we're going to be using here together. And we're going to see you guys out live from the porch, all right? It's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful next week, all right? 75, 80 degrees, sunny and beautiful. The leaves are finally out. The flowers are out. The grass is green. Life is good, okay? This is wonderful, finally, all right? Mother Nature's throwing us a bone here, so we love you, Mother Nature. You're awesome. And until then, guys, be well, and we're going to see you on the porch tomorrow. Peace. right, back at you guys. It is Thursday, May 21st now. The other day, all right, we made our yeast dough, our pizza dough, our whole wheat pizza dough. And boy, let me tell you, has Mother Nature done her work? All right, has the bread dough chemistry has done its magic. And we got a wonderful looking set of doughs here, okay? Now, right now, we are only going to be actually processing 2 of our 4 doughs because we're reserving 2 for live class, okay? Excited for those who are going to be in there, and thank you for those who are going to be in there, who are able to join us for the live feed. We can't record that and include that in our lessons. So actually, as I'm speaking right now, by the time this video goes live and gets published, it would have already happened. So, hey, guys, thanks for being there. But we're going to show you how we spread this dough out. We got the grill is fired up outside, warming up, and we're going to be moving out there in a minute. But like we said, you know, prep work's done inside, all the cooking outside. Oh, yeah. But we do have a little bit of business to handle here inside, all right? What a beautiful day it's been. Man, just absolutely spectacular, okay? Yesterday was utterly beautiful, too. I was very grateful for the weather. It was my 38th birthday yesterday, so yay, happy birthday, Chef. But anyways, lots of love to all the people who reached out, wish me a happy birthday. You're all awesome. I appreciate you very much, all right? A lot of love. Okay. Whoa. Whoa, ho, ho, ho. We started here, and we've gone all the way up to here. Coming in real close, if we could see this, okay, you're going to see all these little kind of pockets and bubbles here. All right, now that is all pockets of gas, so that yeast has done its thing, okay? It has fuel, it has fed, all right? It took the fuel, all right? But it was also restrained by the salt, if you recall, all right? The 2 main factors with yeast development, all right? You have sugar is the fuel, carbohydrates and sugar. Salt is the brake. Gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. All right, looks like I'm doing little doggy pedals. All right, yeah, I probably did that when I was a kid, and I had those like badass floaty things on that made you look like you had pipes, okay? So yeah, our 2 doughs here, guys, have really, really risen up nicely, and you can see all the little gas pockets in there, all right? Now, what happened as that yeast fed, all right, it basically produced carbon dioxide, CO2. All right, and it trapped all of that gas inside of these little pockets, okay? We're going to turn this dough out, and it's going to deflate down. It's going to go right back to the size that it was. But while all that was happening, all right, that is what we call fermentation, okay? Ooh, that smells wonderful, okay? And basically, it broke down all those sugars and turned them into gases, and basically, oh, see, I just popped it. See it deflate? Down it goes, okay? And we have a lot of flavor happening in here. So we're going to dust our bench. We just have a little bit of flour. Not going to put a ton down, only what we need, okay? Now, a good pizza maker, a good pizziola, never uses a rolling pin. That would be the last thing they use. They just simply use their hands. But the secret to this is to make sure you keep the dough round. Now, we started with a round ball, and then we put it in a round container. It fermented in a round format, all right? We need to be careful not to fold it over on itself and have it do all these different things because we can never get it back to the shape that it was in. So now, guys, we're going to pop this out. And if you remember, we oiled the inside of this so it comes out real easy. So we're going to be putting the camera down. You're not going to see me, just my gut in the bench. All right? Yeah, guys, the chef weight-o-meter is not looking good. Not looking good. I'm terrified. I got to get on Coach Ramo's scale next time I go up to school to see what the damage is. I'm talking, I got a solid Corona 25 happening here, all right? Like, this, the Rona 25 is not doing me well, but, man, it was delicious going on. But, hey, I think we need to just exclusively go to vegetables and salads here. But I've been saying that for how long now? Probably not going to happen. Maybe taco salad, potato salad. All right, so we've turned our dough out here down, And you can see we just have a little bit of flour, and this dough is nice and soft now. Obviously, too, in this process, that gluten that was real tight, okay, has now been relaxed. All right. So we're going to come up here. Look, I'm going to start by just using my thumbs to create a little bit of a crust line. Okay. See how that is? All the way around. Now I'm going to put it back down. I need just a little bit of flour, and I'm going to flour my hands. Flour your hands first and then the dough, because we don't want to put too much on. What did we learn the other day? It's going to make it tough. Same thing like rolling out biscuits and scones. Okay. Take our fingers and push it down. All right. This is a nice dough. This feels really, really good. Okay. Oop. What's that? A disaster there. Okay. Now, we're going to just start stretching. All right, it's getting a little sticky. I'm going to flour my hands. And you can see now I'm basically stretching at one point here, but it's stretching very evenly across the board. Okay, now I'm going to go fist to fist over the back of my knuckles and pull it. And I ripped it. Dum-Dum. Dum-Dum over here does not have his pizza mojo going, or actually I thought I had it going better than I really did. Oops. Little fold and pinch job there. That'll patch it up. I just got to be careful when we bring it outside. Make sure our edge is here. And that's pretty good. That's more like 10 inches, not 8. All right. So, but I did tell you guys we were going pretty thin here. All right. So again, we're here and we're pretty much leveled off. Okay. Going to do the same. Slowly just kind of spread and pull, spread and pull, spread and pull, spread and pull, spread and pull. Now, guys, you may rip 7, 8, 19 million doughs, but you got to keep practicing, all right? Dough's cheap to make, all right? We're not just going to cave and use the bush league method or the rolling pin, all right? We're better than that. We're way better than that. You're way better than that. I believe in you. That's looking pretty good here. Look at that one. Much better. Much, much, much more better. All right. All right, so we're going to go there because I know someone's going to be like, why didn't you do it? Why didn't you do it? Yep. We're going to do the throw, baby. Okay? And the spin. Okay? That takes practice, guys. I probably made like 2,000 pizzas by the time I was like 17. So that's like really nothing in the grand scheme of pizza numbers if you're a real pie slinger. But I certainly threw my fair share when I was a young guy. So now we're ready to go. All right, gang, so we're back outside now, back on the deck, out here on the porch, and we're ready to go. All right, we're going to scan the mise-en-place, and we're going to take a look at our charcoal. We're going to be kind of brief about this, and perhaps on our next lesson, we'll go into more detail about the differences in types of charcoals. All right, so here's our dough that we spread out. And today we just have some different vegetables here. We have some peppers, zucchini, red onions, and some very thin sliced tomato, cremini mushrooms, and then some thin sliced tomatoes, some fresh buffalo mozzarella. And then we have over here, we have some capicola, or as they call it in the like the Italian movies, the gabagool. Okay. And then we got some prosciutto here, which is an Italian cured ham. And the capicola here is just a spicy cured ham as well, a different kind. And we got some salt, pepper, and olive oil. But over here is the charcoal. All right. This is lump charcoal or spent wood charcoal. It's actual hard wood. Okay. See? Okay, that's actually just like a hunk of wood that's been like burnt up and then cooled. Or I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I really know how they do it. I just know I like it a lot better than these little dirties. Okay, the classic charcoal briquette. All right, these are fine. But use those if you're just going to be charcoal grilling like hamburgers and hot dogs and sausages. If you're cooking muscle proteins, all right, you want to use the real charcoal. I'm actually using real charcoal today, even though we're just kind of baking our pizzas on the grill. That's because the charcoal was still warm from a lesson I did this morning with my Culinary 2 and Culinary 1 students. Well, this morning and this afternoon. All right, we did this awesome mojo chicken, a Cuban-style chicken. I may have already mentioned that. Now I'm repeating myself and sound like a clown, but hey, that's kind of par for the course. I do that. All right, guys, so now we're back. Our grill is all ready to go and plenty hot enough, and we are going to get our dough on first. So we're going to have a couple of steps here. Okay, we're going to grill the doughs off, take those off, and then we're going to grill up some of our vegetables and our other toppings, top the pizza, and then pop it back on. All right, so you can see we have like nice white hot coals down here and some nice glowing ambers. All right, that's precisely what we're looking for. All right, so we're gonna take our dough and we're literally just gonna like flatten this bad boy right out on here and just let this hang out for a few minutes. All right, you're gonna see it's gonna like puff right up. All right, I'm actually going to take here and I'm going to do what we call this docking so it doesn't puff up too much, okay, because we want it kind of thin. So we just poke some holes in it, and we're going to shut this down, and we're going to get back to that in a minute, and you're going to see how it's kind of started to bake right up. Okay, so we're ready to flip here. You can see it's puffed up a little bit. Ooh, look at that, golden brown. Look at that, real nice. We want a nice, good dark golden brown, but not burnt, okay? So while that one's finishing up, we're gonna slap this guy on, the other one. Okay, utilize our space here. Okay. We're gonna do our little move here again. Okay. All right, we don't want this thing getting too big on us. Shut it down. Okay. Ooh, number 2. Ready to go. Our first guy here, we're going to yank him right off. Okay, that one is good to go. So we're going to set that aside over here near our topping station. So we got here our shell. Okay, we're actually going to hit it with a little bit of olive oil. Okay, so we're going to be ready to get our veg grilled here soon. And like I was saying, we're kind of doing this multi-phase here. All right, also dough 2 ready to come off. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, yeah. Now, you know, if we didn't dock that and poke the holes in, and it did puff up, we basically just made homemade pita bread, or as we called it where I came from originally, Syrian bread. All right, just basically a Middle Eastern flatbread, but it puffs up and you could split it, and then you have the pocket on the inside. A lot of pizzerias that say that they have quote-unquote homemade pita breads or Syrian bread, that's basically what they're doing. They're using their pizza dough. So it's another cool thing that you can do with this. All right, now we have our onions, tomatoes, some mushrooms, pepper, and our zucchini, and we're just going to drizzle that with a little bit of olive oil, not that gushing flow I just put out there. Salt and pepper. Okay. Trying to do the pepper cam here. Look at this, all right? If there's a will, there's a way, guys. If there's a will, there's a way. Don't give up. All right, get creative here. I was kind of lodged in the crook of my elbow over there, but hey, we're making it happen here, all right? So, bringing it right over here. And we're going to pop these right on. These are going to grill pretty quick. Okay, we got some serious heat going on in here. Okay, actually, we'll pop these tomatoes up high here. Okay. Now, you may be saying, like, Chef, where's the sauce at? Hey, pizza doesn't have to have just your standard plain old red sauce, okay? That's not a grilling and chilling pizza. That's like a status quo normal pizza, okay? You can go to the pizzeria for that. You know, I'm going to stay in my lane and let them stay in theirs. They do it better that way than I do. So that's kind of a whole different ball of wax here. So I'm showing you the creative way we can do it at home here on the grill, okay? All All right, so now we'll spread these back out and put them more over the coals. All right, the tomatoes, we're going to leave those up top because I don't want those, they don't really do well over super, super hot heat. Okay, and what do we learn about tomatoes? Prolonged heat, they'll get kind of nasty. Okay, but we're just going to kiss them on the grill here for a few minutes. Same thing with our mushrooms. I probably shouldn't even have put those on here, so we'll see what happens. Okay, and just another hit of salt there. All right, so we're taking some of the veg off here, guys. It's pretty well grilled up here. And what we're going to do now with this is I'm going to bring it inside. So these bad boys are starting to look really good here now, guys. We're like, whoa, hot. All right, so we are golden here, guys. Look at those gooey, gooey cheese. Now, mind you, buffalo mozzarella doesn't brown up like a typical shredded mozzarella does. In fact, it's an entirely different version of cheese. Okay, but it's still wonderful for this application, and I know we're really going to enjoy it. All right, so we're going to yank these off. Oh, yeah. Okay, and then we're going to bring them up to the finishing part. Now, you have to excuse my kind of like scumbag porch table, all right? It's got like grease stains now all over it. I got to really kind of scrub it down and clean it. But hey, we're making it happen, all right? We're in lockdown, quarantine action here. We got what we got. We're gonna make it work. All right, so now we're ready to finish these up, okay? I got some fresh snipped herbs here, all right? We got some basil and oregano. Get a little of that action on there. Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay. We're gonna give it one last little shot with some of the olive oil here. Oh man. And there you have it, guys. Okay, grilled flatbread pizzas, trailer park style, upper crust trailer park style. Okay, look at that. Beautiful whole wheat crust, buffalo mozzarella, capicola, prosciutto, grilled zucchini, red onions, roasted red peppers. We got cremini mushrooms in there. Hooking it up with the herbs at the end, right out of my herb gardens here. Okay, we're going to be eating so good here. Okay? I'm going to try this out. All right. Whoa. Whoa. That's dynamite. All right. This doesn't suck. I'm pretty excited about this. I'm pretty proud of this. All right. Thanks, guys, for being here. And I appreciate those who were able to jump into the live feed earlier. And we've been telling you to just keep cooking and keep cooking good. But now I'm going to ask you to just start grilling and start grilling good. All right. Now, when you're grilling, better be sure you're chilling. All right. This is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be relaxing. All right. Low pressure, low stakes, but high results and high quality. All right, guys. Pedal to the metal. Let's finish up strong. We got a couple of weeks here. That's it. All right. We're on the back stretch, home stretch here right now. Okay. We want to finish strong. All right. Sometimes it's not always kind of what you do in the middle of the race. It's how you start the race and how you end the race. All right. So let's kick in the turbo boosters. Let's turn it on. Okay. And rip it up, guys. I'm proud of y'all. And we're going to see you soon. All right. Peace out, or pizza out.